Good morning once again. Welcome to another Kafuta Senior Secondary School Human Rights Club Amnesty International Day celebration. We welcome you back, everybody. Before we move further, we would like to invite the principal to give us a welcoming remark, and we start the program. Yeah, Mr. Sani.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all of you, and good morning also to all of you, and God bless you. It is indeed a great pleasure to have this session in Kafuta Upper and Senior Secondary School campus. As you all know, Amnesty International is not a school-based only society, but it is a worldwide association. And this association has been doing well for the world at large. And today marks another celebration of its birth, and we can call it the birthday celebration of Amnesty International. We are very grateful to them. This association has been doing well for many people, and they have uplifted many people in the world. You are also here. We pray that tomorrow you also receive that upliftment from Amnesty International. The session is really a session that will teach you certain things that you are going to learn, and also you bring them into your life, inculcate, and then also try to disseminate them outside the school campus. So whatever you receive from here as knowledge, as we always say, don't keep it in you. Please make sure that it is part of your life. Knowledge is that. Knowledge comes into life and change you to become a changed person. But if you have knowledge, the knowledge doesn't change you. It means the knowledge is of no use to you. If you receive an information and it brings change into your life, then you become a changed person. So Amnesty International is doing that to make you better people in the future. So please make sure that whatever knowledge you receive today, you try to put it as part of your life. You use it judiciously and make sure that other people also receive that information from you immediately. So on behalf of the school administration, the teachers, the students, and all the stakeholders of this institution, we would say welcome yet to another celebration of Amnesty International in Kafuta Upper Senior Secondary School. Well, we welcome all of you, and we pray that you have a nice and wonderful session today. On behalf of the entire school and the community at large, we thank you very much. You are most welcome. Thank you.
My name is Anna Manga, the teacher coordinator for Amnesty International partnership with MOPSI Human Rights Club in various schools around the country. So I will be taking you through the contribution in which these clubs have done in various schools, and what is the role of Amnesty and MOPSI to make sure that these clubs are functioning in all the regions in the country. So like I said yesterday when we were at Block, the club started with only 6 schools, which is each region in the Gambia with 1 school. So schools like Fatoto, schools like Farafenye, schools like Sifo, schools like Birikambaba. These were the first schools that started this project. And their main funding is coming from Amnesty International, which is the contribution that they're doing. And it is coming through MOPSI. Why is it coming through MOPSI? Because all of us here, both teachers and students, are under MOPSI. Do you get it? So this is why the fund is coming through MOPSI, and then MOPSI will disburse it to the various teachers that are coordinating these programs in the school. So those 6 schools have done a great job. And what are the areas that they have focused on? They focus on environment, they focus on relationship, they focus on curriculum. You see, these are areas that they looked at. And then they did tremendously well. And Amnesty were impressed, and they informed MOPSI that they want to extend their hand to additional 4 schools. So that's additional 4 schools. You have schools like Diabugu, you have schools like Armitage. So these were other schools that were added to the project, schools like Gambia High. So they are all part of the project. Schools like Newsrat. So when they were added, they also continue to substantiate the work of the other 6 schools. So making it 10 schools in the Gambia. Imagine all the senior schools in the Gambia. We're talking about 100 plus, and you have only 10 that are privileged to have funding from Amnesty International to do their contribution in elevating you and I, our life. Those 10 schools continue their contributions to an additional 5 schools were added. And in that 5 school, that's where Kafuta with St. Peter's and other schools also were added, which is also a privilege to Kafuta Upper and Senior Secondary School. Put applause for yourself. So that doesn't mean you are much better than all other students around the country, but you are privileged to be part of it. So therefore, you should seize the opportunity to make sure that you also learn from it, and not only to learn, but also try to send the message that you learn and live by the message that you learn. That shows that, okay, Kafuta Upper and Senior Secondary School have Amnesty International in their school. The contribution is still ongoing. That is what we are doing. We are also trying our level best to make sure that we impress them. Then they can add another school also, so that with time, all the length and breadth of this country will be funded by Amnesty International through MOPSI. So I think when we went for our last AGM, they were so impressed with what we have done, and they promised to add another school, making it 20 schools in the Gambia. But they are yet to officially add those schools and start sending funding to those schools. So we will plead on you people, that is our student, to continue to live a good life, to continue to show up your commitment towards this project. That is, when we call, you try to show up, not only to show up, but also give it your best. Engage with the facilitators that we have, engage with everything. That is also going to, because videos are going on, people are seeing you, and then it will send a message down there, and they will see the need to add other people. Remember, it's other people that did well until you were added, not so. So you also have to do well so that others can be added. And those people also continue to do well. With time, we cover the length and breadth of this country. That is what we are advocating for. So I will not bore you much. As of now, I believe all of you have known the role in which Amnesty is playing. All this funding that we are using to do this project and everything is coming from Amnesty International, and then they will send it through our parent, which is MOPSI, and then it will filter down to the school, and then finally we will see ourselves on the ground like this. So we want to say a very big thank you to Amnesty International. We want to say a very big thank you to MOPSI, through Antitida, through Ogis, and all of them. So we recognize their contribution, and then we appreciate their effort. And we also, as coordinators, pray that we will continue to do our part with our students to also make sure that we have other schools to be added. Once again, I thank you, and then give the mic to my boss, Lamin. I recommend Lamin to be part of this day, that is Amnesty International celebration, which is celebrated every 28th of May across the world. Because Lamin have been a coordinator in this project for a long time also, but under the focus group. Yeah, so he will take you through more on his area that he's been assigned to discuss with you people. Let's put our hands together for Lamin. Thank you, my boy.
So thank you very much, Anna. That was truly a great one. I am also happy to know that Amnesty is currently extending its hands to other schools as well, so that the reach will be wide and a lot of students would benefit from their interventions. So during my introduction, I haven't told you my work. I I work for a German federal ministry project in the Gambia as the country coordinator. The project started last year, and we are here till 2028, but we focus more on issues around migrations, which is also a core fundamental issues when it comes to human rights, because we know some of our brothers and sisters that take this road to these North African countries, how they have been treated. So Amnesty as an institution has, raised a lot of issues around how these people have been treated. So my work today is to guide you as to the work that Amnesty does. And I know most of you must have heard about Amnesty, but how many of you knows what Amnesty generally means? Amnesty. So one thing that I also appeal, I don't want us to contextualize these conversations like it is a scholarly conversation like university or a doctorate. No, this is just, we're just going to domesticate it like we are in a community settings trying to help each other to understand better what these systems mean and what do they intend to do at our local settings, especially in terms of the schools. So Amnesty, what they does is wide range of issues, and some of those things might not necessarily align with in terms of our understandings. So who has an understanding about Amnesty? Just to know your Jamal Nane Amnesty Tomoy and the work that they do. So you know me, I'm good in Mandinga. So if you feel comfortable to speak in Mandinga, please speak. It is okay. It is the understanding that matters, right? Okay, somebody is raising her hand.
Amnesty is a non-government organization. It's a non-government organization global, which help us in our human rights and our privacies.
It's a non-governmental organization, right? Like it doesn't fall into any government category. Huh? So Amnesty International is a global organization, that advocate for the rights and well-being of people, and they do these things. It does not matter which region, which community, which country, which tribe you come from, but as long as you are a human being, Amnesty advocate for your welfare, and Amnesty does this globally. But how did these organizations came into being? Like imagine some of the little things in our communities that we don't take note of, or some of the little efforts that people do in our communities but we don't take them seriously, are things that escalate to these high profile organizations within worldwide. Because it was an individual who spearheaded Amnesty, and he does because he realized that some people's rights have been violated, and he thought that there is a need for him to advocate on their behalf. So imagine, because of that particular individual, he's from London, called Peter, if I'm right. And Peter realized that two Portuguese citizens who has been students were killed, and they were killed because they were protesting for the right of other people. So they took them to prisons without preferred accountability to them. So they advocate on their well-being. So this is how Amnesty started coming. So because people felt there is a need to have an organization that is going to advocate for the welfare of people, especially when their rights have been trampled. So Amnesty started growing. Many countries also supported the idea. It went to an extent that it has been recognized globally. And one of the most fundamental issues that is very important, especially to this gathering here, is that it started advocating for students. And here you are as students. So for me, I work for Amnesty Brikama local group as a coordinator. And this is one thing that I've been doing. So Amnesty also look at critical issues around the sub-regions or the globe, and they make sure that they don't align themselves with the government. Because through the work of Amnesty, a lot of governments find their investigations, their documentation very useful for them to take those guidance and make legal representations at the court level. So meaning they help governments to be able to take decisions in terms of legal representatives. So me as a coordinator for Brikama local group, some years ago we organized an activity. So because most of the time you will hear Amnesty is advocating for the removal of death penalty in our constitution. So I'm just, you listen to me very well, you understand where I'm trying to link. Amnesty has been advocating to remove death penalty in our constitutions. I know currently, with the current political dispensation we have, this is one of the most contentious issues, especially if you are a keen follower of social media. Many people said, if you kill somebody, let the person be killed. Have you had this conversation recently? That if you kill, you should be killed. Like, we organize an activity, and this activity we invite senior lawyers of this country, we invite other people to come and have a conversation around why death penalty should be abolished in our constitution. Because when you talk about death penalty has gone beyond people just kill people and they should be killed. No, there are other seditious charges. If you do a crime that is at the equivalent to somebody that murdered, then that means you should also face the death penalty. So imagine people that are in our communities, especially we know the political issues in this country, and oppositions or other political parties or individuals have been accused of crimes that they have not committed. And now we said, now we are going to execute them. Come in, be falal. You understand? Whether maybe they have not even done those crimes, or because our legal systems could not establish the truth around the circumstances of a crime that has happened. Maybe a case has ended just recently. We have all seen what have happened. So in case dubious actions have played, those people they should be killed. So and in other countries, they've realized that where death penalty is, there are people many along they have killed them already. And later they realize that they have not committed those crimes. Now, how do we resurrect them back? Komi kama moka ka atle nyinge watara make but wara man sakunda luara la fonko ngafa so ngafa already so watara man crime mo nyinge already in 10 years or 5 years later we realize that this person haven't committed this crime but already we have killed the person. So that is why Amnesty as an institution is advocating for us to remove death penalties in our constitution. But now in Gambia it is contentious for people are saying death penalties should, because it is here, it is in our law, but it is in a suspense. Like we are not implementing it right now. But now many people are advocating for it to be back, so that those that are stabbing other people with knives, if you stab another somebody and you are taken to a court system and the court realizes that you are guilty of a crime, now we take you and then you will be killed. Or if you are charged of an economic crime and the court realizes that this person have done this and then you should be killed. But we also have to listen some of the type of leaders we have in Africa. Sometimes we will say it is dictatorial, like a president is in charge of the judiciary. When he said this, you have to do this. So that same system can say a political party or leader have done this one. Now let him be. You understand? So the person should be killed. So this is the contentious issues that Amnesty is advocating. So people that understand it very well would always be on social media. No, death penalty should not come back. So Amnesty doesn't even compromise with that to say, let us bring it back. No, they said, no, we should not bring it back. And this is one thing that we do to make sure that we talk to people so that the judiciary, by any means, will not bring the death penalty back to our law books. So one of the things that the core value of Amnesty worldwide have done so many campaigns, especially right now we have seen places where wars have taken place. And then there has been indiscriminate killing of people in many parts of the world. And it is always a war crime for people to be targeted, especially those that are citizens, to kill them unnecessarily. That should not be done. So when war is happening in those countries, what Amnesty does is they try to investigate whether war crimes have been committed in those countries. And how do they investigate? Because Amnesty is a global organization that has a lot of influence and a lot of impact. So they investigate these crimes and document them. So they document. So most of the time you'll hear Amnesty has filed a case against a particular nation for committing a war crime. And Amnesty will do everything possible to make sure that particular country is been found wanting for the crime that they have committed. The number of innocent people they have killed, the number of students they have killed. And most of the time we've seen that they will say, okay, but they've bombarded a particular school and a number of students have lost their lives. And this is one of the things that Amnesty would always work on, to make sure they have a proper documentation of what has happened in those particular places. So immediately they have a documentation of those things, they are going to file it. Either they work with a government of that particular country or a nearby country to make sure they file a legal suit to a recognized legal institutions, whether regionally or at the global stage, just to make sure that they advocate for the welfare of those students or those people that have been killed unnecessarily. And this is one thing they've been doing. So most of the times, although you will realize and see that they will say Amnesty is trying to spearhead a petition against a particular country or against a particular settings for violating the rights of people. We have seen that most of the time in Libya, some of the atrocities that happen there, Amnesty has been on its laurels. That is why in most of those countries they don't want to hear Amnesty, because they have taken legal issues against many people. In fact, individuals have been sanctioned. They've been barred from moving to other countries because of Amnesty has recognized the violations they have done on other people in their communities. So now, if you contextualize that to our own community here, young girls, most of you, whether it is in schools, whether it is in communities, your rights have been violated. And most of the times, you find it difficult to speak around those things because maybe perhaps it's the society, or maybe if I speak to someone, he or she is also going to speak to someone and my issues are going to be exposed. So Amnesty try to bring these things to schools so that we localize them. We make sure that all of you are aware of your rights and responsibilities. Once your rights are violated, you have every right to stand and be able to advocate for your rights. So that is one of the most fundamental issues why these clubs are important in our schools, because we cannot live in the previous years of how people's rights have been violated. Like they don't even to 18. That is not accepted. But when that happens to you, what are you going to do? Are you just going to say, no, they are my parents, I don't have to do anything, let me just go and get married? Huh? FGMC is one of the issues. We might not agree on it, but it is one of the issues that Amnesty thought it should not happen in our communities. Now, it is left to us to critically look at it very well, because others will align it to religious aspects, others will align it to, it doesn't have any religious connotations. But that is left to our personal judgments to believe what is right and what is not. But Amnesty as an institution is not romanticizing with the truth to say, we are saying this because of inconvenience of particular individual. No, but they are saying it in the context of human rights. Because you are subjecting someone to a particular practice who is very young to determine or to say, yes, I have consented to this. So that means you are infringing on the person's rights. And this is what Amnesty is saying to that. I hope you are clear. But also, they did not only stop at only that. They make sure that our young girls or people below age of 18, you have education. Yes, they advocate for it. For people to have education, not just a matter of education, but you have a decent education. You have shelters in your home, you have clothing, and make sure your rights as an individual is respected, and your states take responsibility of all of you, because that is their responsibility. And that is why when states try to divert from taking responsibilities of its citizens, usually Amnesty will hold them accountable. And we've seen a lot of reports that are circulating. I don't know whether this Amnesty schools is also under Senegal, like our groups. Is that what is happening? This is also under the Al Militant Senegal. Okay, so that is also a good thing that we should be able to recognize, because for us at our group's level we are still under Al Militant Senegal, which some of us advocated that we need to have our. Yes. Okay, so Gambia doesn't still have. Yes, it's not still fulfilled. Uh, yeah, exactly. So for me, I stopped going there. I have been going there, but at some point, I made a decision that I don't want to go there. So like I said, human rights education. Amnesty have taken a step of doing human rights educations, and those human rights educations are why these clubs are being formed in our schools, so that you have education as to what are your rights, when your rights are infringed, what channels do you take. And that's why most of the times they will invite resource persons that are very much familiar with some of those issues, as to why do you need to familiarize yourself with those things as a student. So, but one of the key principles is they are independent. Amnesty doesn't work under the influence of any authority or any institutions. Because if you want to be recognized or if you want to be respected globally, you have to be independent. Do you understand that? For example, Amnesty cannot go to Donald Trump and tell him that we want you to support us about this thing and this thing. So they will compromise, because one way or the other, he will put a conditions that might be able to, that might affect your existence as an institution, especially when it comes to your core values, the reason why you exist. And that is why they remain independent. They make so whatever they do is in confinement to why do they exist. Because the main purpose is for the rights of the people. So anything that has to do with that, Amnesty doesn't prefer. So non-partisan, because you cannot be advocating for the rights of people and you are also into politics, because at some point the very people that violate people's rights are the politicians. So that means you cannot align yourself with those people. An institution have to be an institution that every individual who belongs to any political party can come to you whenever they feel their rights are violated, without favor or ill will or any other form of arbitration. So the other one that Amnesty also does is urgent legal support. And then what support do they mean that by this? When we said urgent legal support, that means when someone's rights are at risk, they mobilize global actions through urgent alerts to support legal crisis. And we have seen this in many cases. I will give you an example. When there was a war in Lebanon, and it was announced that people are starving in Lebanon and they don't have food to eat. There were some human rights, humanitarians supporters, especially from Spain and many parts of European countries, that arranged themselves with a boat to go to Lebanon, to go to, not Lebanon to say, how do they call it? The place that is fighting with Israel. No, not Iraq. Palestine, exactly. Moving to Palestine. So as they were going through, so the Israel soldiers seized them because they were having boats with medications, with food items coming because they were starving. But the Israelis were stopping them. In fact, at some point, they told for almost 1 month they were in Communicado. For why do they want to take those medications and food to the people in Palestine without their authority? So at the end, what do they have to do? ika kundu santo domoro ka jolom pour mol ka ta ka dom. So these people that we are going, they muda and they take them to somewhere else, yera kulumol basis. And we've seen human rights bodies, including Amnesty International, raising an alarm that these people serve no threat to the Israel military. And under none circumstances should they be held incommunicado because they want to help the people to have a decent food and to also have medication, because they were not having medication. The war was at a very dangerous situation at that time. So this is what they mean, raising alarm when people's lives are in danger. And that doesn't only mean it is for the supporters, but even those in that particular country, as long as now the war is going and they don't have food to eat, Amnesty usually raise alarm that these people in this country don't have food to eat. And when they raise this alarm, it usually attracts a global attention. So maybe me and you in Kafuta here in German or in Kemonsu will not realize it. But it attracts global attention. A lot of people would see, because a lot of, many people that has a lot of influence in the world would always want to see the work that Amnesty is doing. And when there is an alarm, people will start knocking doors to make sure that they understand the dynamics of the issues that might be raised on that context. And that is what they have been doing so far. So they raise legal support when someone's rights are at risk. They mobilize global actions through that. So they also do a policy work. So when we mean policy work, that is they push for international laws and treaties and monitor government to make sure they follow them. And maybe these international laws are very important. Most of the times you will hear they say the United Nations Charter, the African Charter. These are conventions and treaties that countries would usually sign to. And most of the times, these conventions and treaties, countries don't take them seriously. In fact, Gambia is better. Sometimes some of these treaties, we acknowledge them, we respect them, and we follow them. But if you go to North African countries, it is very rare for them to respect these treaties. Yes, America, exactly. So if you go to North African countries, most of the time, they don't respect these treaties and conventions. And most of them, they sign them. Let's take an example of the ECOWAS itself. Like they will say the ECOWAS biometric passport, if you have it, like you are traveling to these countries, sometimes you get through hell. It is not even valid. For me, as somebody who travel frequently to other countries, some especially when I have transits to Morocco or Istanbul to other places, especially within the Asian countries. Most of the time in Europe, we don't have challenges, but in Asian countries, sometimes you feel so embarrassed because they don't even respect the treaties that they have signed. In fact, if you tell some of them in those circumstances that, but this is a treaty that your country signed, and I'm part of a country that is also within that treaty, they don't even know. Or they will pretend they don't know. They will not even listen to you. And these are issues that Amnesty always advocate for countries to respect the treaties that they sign. If you respect, if we sign a treaty that protects the protections of our young girls, so at the same time, this country cannot be a country that will go to advocate for, female genital mutilations not to be banned by a law of this country. Well, they want to repeal it in the parliament. We realize that it will never succeed because Gambia has signed treaties that criminalize FGMC. And there are a lot of issues around that. And the death penalty as well. Just look at it. Almost how many countries in Africa here? I think it's 23 countries already have gone away with it. But now the contentious issue is for Gambia to bring it back because people are killing each other. So maybe we need to listen to that very, very well. Huh? So research documentations, I think I've touched some part of that. They document crimes, that happen in other places and make sure people are able to justify why these crimes happen, and they help the prosecution to take lead in those crimes to make sure people are sentenced for what they have done and legal issues have been taken. So these are few issues that Amnesty does, and I am very happy to share them with you. I know at some point maybe you have some little bit of understanding around these things, but what is important is we try to domesticate this in our communities as to what are some of the issues that violate our own rights in our own communities, especially when you are here or when you travel. So for the North African countries, they are prone to it. They don't respect the rights of people most of the times, especially our migrants that are going there, especially community along with RSK, go and look at their condition. That is one of the issues that Amnesty have always been raising. Sometimes the whole day they don't eat. Tunisia, you've seen Tunisia at some point how they beat African migrants with batons. They beat their fellow Africans with that. You've seen what is happening in South Africa? You've seen it? And South Africa have signed some of these treaties that we are talking about, but they dehumanize their own fellow brothers because they don't want them to stay in their countries. So a lot is going around the world that Amnesty is trying to educate us, and they want us to understand these issues at our school level, so that once we grow up, then now we'll be able to connect our understanding at the school level to the realities of the global issues that are raising, especially in terms of human rights violations. And I think that will give us a context as to how right violations are predominantly happening in these countries, and how do we also contribute to make sure we put a stop to them, or if we cannot put a stop to them, but we try to advocate around it so that we are able to address them, because they are becoming too much. So this is where I'll stop for now. I will allow my perhaps colleagues to also share some remarks as to the importance of this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Sa. The ones also will try to investigate to know more about this amnesty and their works that they are doing for the sake of human rights. So thank you very much, Mr. Sane. So we'll allow Mr. Nyasi to come in and also give us some of the things he has for us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sane. And I want to say, today I am here with this booklet. This booklet may look very ugly, but it is everything that you need as a human rights advocate. So what I will promise Anna is that I will try to see how I can get maybe 20 for this school, but I have to lobby for them. Is that understood? All right. Yeah. So my topic of discussion today that I'm giving by Anna is to talk to you about human rights. Now, when you ask different people what are human rights, I can promise you if I ask you all what are human rights, I can have 25 different answers to what are human rights. And I can promise you all that all those 25 answers are right. They are not wrong. Is that understood? So before we start, I want one or two people to tell me, what do you understand are human rights? Yes?
These are basic needs and freedom given to every human being.
Who gives? Given. Who gives?
I said these are basic needs and freedom given to every human being.
So that word given to every human being. I want to know who is that giver of human rights? Anyone? Who is that giver?
Maybe Amnesty.
Okay. Okay, that's who is the giver, yes? Human beings. Alright? And who else? What are human rights? Nothing like human rights. I mean, people do not acquire human rights. It is only few individuals who have the privilege to have human rights. And who are those individuals? These are only individuals who belongs to groups. Let's say if you belong to a family, you have rights and your rights are going to be protected. If you belong to a particular group, let's say a sexy girls association, your rights will be protected by the sexy girls association. Is that understood? But those who are not part of those groups have no rights and their rights are not protected. Is that understood? Okay? But what happened? In around 539 BC, before the birth of Jesus Christ, what happened is there was someone called Cyrus the Great. When he conquered Babylon, you know, when you are at war, you can capture some people and use them as what? As slaves. But what Cyrus did was, it was extraordinary. After he conquered Babylon, he released those people, those people that he captured, he released them and said that every human being have the right to choose the religion of your choice. Is that understood? Every human being have the right to choose the religion of your choice. No individual to tell you that you should be Muslim or you should be Christian. It is your right to choose which religion you believe is the best religion for yourself. Is that understood? Now imagine one day you woke up in the morning and your own name, Binta Fatu or Muhammad, that is meant to protect you, did not protect you. How will you feel when those loved ones you have that you trusted abuse you racially, even use your gender as a base to profile you? How will you feel when your loved ones become the oppressors? How will you feel? Yes, you will feel disappointed because these are the people that you trust. This is why in this around December 10th, 1948, a promise was given through the blood of millions of people who died because of dictatorship, because of tyranny and oppression. That is where the promise of these 30 articles of human rights came under what is on the document called the United Nations Declaration on Human and People's Rights under United Nations. That is why most of the time December 10th is celebrated as World Human Rights Day. So this promise came because a lot of people lose their lives. Over millions of people lose their lives because of tyranny. Today, we are here sitting down having lectures on human rights. Mr. Sane talked about Palestine. Today, those people in Palestine, some children did not go to school. Why? Because of war. If you are somebody who loves listening to news, you will know that 150 children died in a school because of a bomb that was sent by the Americans. But we are here today. But do you think we have no power in fighting for the rights of those in Palestine? Do you think the Gambia or Kafuta is too small to fight for the rights of people in Palestine? Are you too small? No, you are too big. I am happy that today in this class, even in my school, we have more girls than boys in our human rights clubs. Is that understood? But we are happy that when you educate one girl, it means you have educated an entire community. That is why we are always grateful to have you people here. So human rights is something that is not a child's play. On the 7th April 2021, I was supposed to go for a human rights trip in Fatima Senior Secondary School, Boyam. I sat up to 10 o'clock, I didn't see my student. One of my students called Mary Mendy. So I left her because it was time for me to leave. On the 7th April, when I was coming back home, I received a call that she was butchered to death in Busumbala. Now, the reason for her death is because Mr. Sani was talking about silence. She was talking to some of her friends about the abuse and the threat that she was receiving. But what she told them is, I don't want my auntie to know, because if they know, they will. So this silence is the problem. You are the ones keeping those oppressors. So human rights have given you the opportunity to speak out whenever your rights are violated. But you have to be careful of the people that you trust in your life. And these are the only people who can abuse you. For instance, your parents, your teachers. I'm not saying run away from them, but be very careful of them. Because if you don't trust me, I can never harm you. But if you trust me, I can harm you. 2 years ago, in fact, recently I saw some social media pages reporting that this girl was fooled by her own teacher to say, I want to take you to Ghana for masters after your grade to university after your grade 12. The girl trusted the teacher just for the girl to see herself in Mauritania. What was happening there? They were using her as a sex toy. They sold the girl to one individual who was using men to come and have sex with the girl whilst they pay the person. So you have to be very, very careful. This is why human rights are here, to be able to protect you. Mr. Sane talked about how Amnesty International filed for cases of people who cannot fight for their own rights. So silence is very, very dangerous. Nobody should sit with information that can protect another individual. Is that understood? So we are human rights advocates. Most of the time what happens, she also talked about when people use religion to back up some of these things. Now, for instance, I will talk to you about the articles of human rights here, but I want to pick some of the most important ones to talk to you about. Now, let's say if you talk about marriage issue, Mr. Sane, what will they tell you? Is Prophet Muhammad married Aisha at the age of 9? Fine, we know. But Mr. Sane, who is 9 years old in this class? Nobody. But now, who will look at a 9-year-old child today and say, give it to this man for marriage? Somebody who is not yet prepared. You are talking about Prophet Muhammad. During Prophet Muhammad's time, people are different. Our physical nature is different. Our organs are different. Their organs during that time may be prepared, but you are not. Even you here, there is nobody in this class who can get married, because you are all young people. So sometimes this is what they do. They use religion to back their atrocities, which is not done. This is what we are talking about. This is why we speak out. This is why we don't have friends, because they see us as destroyers of society. And we are not destroyers of society. We are the protectors of this society. Is that understood? Because most of the things that we are talking about in these articles of human rights, you find them in our books. When I say books, I'm talking about the Quran and the Bible. Right? We talk about right to life. Didn't our religion prevent us from taking the life of another person? Yes. And the human rights is saying every individual have the right to life. No individual have the right to kill another person, even not yourself. So those who kill people are criminal, and those who kill themselves are also criminals. That is what the human rights is talking about. Is that understood? So we have to understand that each and every one of us in this class is an ambassador. An ambassador of what? An ambassador of human rights. Is that understood? Most of the common human rights abuses in schools are when teachers themselves, who need to be protectors, are looking at students and say, "Ah, by the way, you want to be wararin de. A teacher who should be a protector. Are you sent to look at the sizes of people's buttocks? It's an abuse, it's harassment. But you will keep quiet, or you just say, hey, you know me, hey, Mr. Mendy, don't tell me that. You are also shaking. Yes, it means you are welcoming what they are doing to you. Hey, Mr. Mendy, stop that why? Stop that why? Is that stop? No, that is not a stop. That is a welcoming remark. You know, when we came here, your principal gave us a welcoming remark. So you also are giving the people welcoming remark. Tell the teacher, this is not expected from you. How will you feel if somebody told that to your daughter? Are you going to be happy? No. Let them know their responsibilities. I am teaching in a school. I know things that are going on in my school. Is that understood? So these are the things that are going on. Teachers abusing students. But the ultimate fact is they get these welcoming from students. Men are not allowed to touch women until they ask you to do so. Yes. And men, sometimes students will come to my school and say, Mr. Mnyasi, do you see Ismaila touch my breast? I say, where did you touch until Ismaila touch your breast? Because these boys also can be harassed. Yes. It may look funny. It may look funny, but it is not funny. These boys are also harassed. You may not know, but if you know the number of boys who are raped in this country, you will be amazed. Yes, boys are raped in this country. But the reason why you don't say, people say, hey, you are surprised, because we have nowhere to run to if we are raped. If we run to a police station and say, Inspector Sane, my auntie raped me, get out from this place. How can your auntie rape you? These are the things that we are going through. But we don't have anywhere to run to. So the importance here is for us to know how to respect ourselves as human rights advocates. Things are not expected to be done. The likes of bullying in classrooms and in schools. Do you know some people left school because they were bullied? Some people run away from their community because they are bullied. Are you a bully in this class? Is there any bully in this class? No. We cannot have bullies in this class. Is that understood? But if you live in a society where people are bullied, there are methods to resist. You know how you resist? Go to the mirror, stand on the mirror, define yourself. I'm the most beautiful woman in this whole world. No matter what another person says, that is your business. If my ears are tall, they are tall on your side. On my side, they are the most beautiful ear that God has ever created. Yes. Define yourself, and after defining yourself, you are going to be contented on how God created you. And this is what we expect from all of you. If you live in a society where bullies are many, try to look for modalities in which you can resist them. Is that understood? If somebody called me fat, so what is the opposite of fat? Simple as that. Don't call it slim. Don't call it the person skeletal. Because yes, because there is the opposite of everything. But don't feel offended. But we are not saying we should promote those type of things. These are inhuman. You go to school sometimes again, inhuman treatment. A teacher will beat student until you kick the student. Is the student animal? Mr. Sani talked about where they beat human beings, cage them like animals. You go to some schools, you find those things there. Where you beat a student until you kick a student. Or the student in the middle of the class, you ask the student to kneel down until the student is wrestling, sweating like a Senegalese wrestler. These are all inhuman treatments. There are so many ways to deal with students, not this way. For instance, for me, when I give an assignment to a student, you are not allowed to send a student out of class because when I give assignment and you don't do, I said, can you go and sit out there and do the assignment until anytime you are done, you come back. I'm not sending you out. I want you to go and do the assignment. It's as simple as that, because you have to also help these people. No matter how much you have right, know that constitutions have limitations to your rights. Yes. Human rights have limitations. Example, one limitation of the right of a child is your parents. Your parents have limitation to your rights. You can get up one day, dress very well and say, Mom, I'm going to club. Your mom say, no, you cannot go to club because it's too dark. In this country today, it's not safe. Anything can happen to you. You want to, but your parents serve as a limitation to your rights. Is that understood? Okay? So sometimes when we are talking about the right of a child, they also use that to manipulate us, to say these people want children to have right more than their parents. No, that is not what we are talking about. We are saying that these children need to be protected. If you go to Serakunda market, you go to Brikama market, you go to any market in this country, you will find young children who should be in school are carrying plates of bananas, roaming from one house to another or in between cars. Is that safe for them? No. There is a section in the Gambian Constitution, section 30, subsection A. It's saying education, primary education in the Gambia should be free and compulsory. So why is your child not going to school, but is going to the market to sell? Is it because this child is disciplined, is helping me? But do you know if the child goes to school, the benefit that the child will have will be more than that banana that the child is selling? Go to Costa Road today. You see young boys and girls begging. Mema $5, Mema $10. A child who should be president tomorrow is begging for $10. A child who should be a teacher tomorrow is begging for $5 in the street. A child who should be minister tomorrow, a doctor tomorrow. These people are begging in the street. So it means their parents are the ones that are killing these people's future. So as human rights advocates, these are the things that we need to point out. These are the things that we need to reframe ourselves from. We are the future of this country. So this country can never go forward if we don't look at some of these issues. It is sad for you to see a small child begging in the streets. For me, I took an oath that I will never give them $1. When they come to me, I say, go back to school. I tell the child, go to school. Because you want to help these people. I once called the National Assembly member, Fonyi Councillor. I sent him pictures. I said, look at these things. These things are the things that you need to discuss in the parliament. But he never replied to my call because I know that is not of his interest. So you have to understand that these are things that we have to figure out as human rights agents. Is that understood? And we have also another problem in the article is right to marriage. Okay, now the constitution is giving me right to marry. No. What it entails is if you are of full capacity and of full age. And in the Gambia, full age is 18 years. Is that understood? Choose the person that you desire to get married to. My people are in this class. Fullers. They are in this class. All right? I will tell you one story about my fuller friend before I tell you what they used to do. I brought him from, Sare Gainako. And when he came, I wanted to take him to Senegambia for a party. Just for me to arrive in Senegambia, on the whole, he have removed his shoe before entering taxi. You see what they used to do? All right, because he's not used to taxi. All right? Okay, so that is by the way. Let's go. Now, what I'm trying to say here is you cannot take a rope and tie it on a child's hand and say, if you grow or this, I'm going to marry you. Another problem, Mr. Sani, I don't know if you also have identified that. People will say, I sponsored this girl from grade 1 to grade 12. The guy betrayed me. It is your fault. It's not the girl's fault. Because that girl was a child that you were sponsoring. She did not have that mental fitness to decide anything for herself or for himself. Is that understood? So you blame yourself, you don't blame the girl. The girl was a child. You were giving her lunch until she graduated. Now she is of full age and capacity. She have to decide who she have to marry to. But what happens is parents will stand to say, no, you are not going to marry this. In fact, if you want to misbehave, I will give you out. But the Child's Act or the Children's Act 2005, which was revisited in 2016, is saying that every parent or guardian who give out your child to marry at a younger age, you have to serve nothing less than 20 years in prison. Even the imam who tied the knot, even the DJ who was playing bend down, pause. So this is how serious this is. 20 years in prison for giving out a child. Recently, we had a 24-year-old who married a primary school in Soma. I forgot the name of the village exactly. And I think the girl is 11 years old. How on earth? They say because these people, they tried, the parents say they tried to stop them, but they could not stop them. How can a parent try to stop your child and the child? No. So what happened is the government have to intervene through the Ministry of Education to try to make sure they amend this problem. These are what we are going through in societies. So for you, the younger generation, these are things that you have to be careful of. Yes, you have rights, but most of the time, listen to your parents' advice. Is understood? They may not take decisions for you, but most of the time their advices are good. The Mandinkas believe that when a child, when an old man sits down, what he or she sees, even if you climb on top of a common antenna, you will not see. They are not God. Mandinkas also believe that Keba manke alati barani alametale. You understand? So sometimes they have good advice for you. Some of you also are very, very difficult to deal with. Like your parent asks you not to get married to this person because this person is abusive or this and that and that. You say, no, I love him. No, I will die, but I will marry. They have seen what you have not seen. Yes. So please try to listen to their advice sometimes. Is that understood? Now, few more. Right to privacy. All right, is also another very important right to privacy. That every human being have the right to privacy, even you people. So sometimes our parents will give us mobile phones and try to investigate whatever we do with our mobile phones. So that is also another thing. Is understood? Is another thing. I have this parent who will wait for her child to go to school, then open her child's room and investigate everywhere. These are some things that are not private. Is understood? We have to know that every individual have the right to privacy. Is understood? Okay. Okay. We have another one, which is you have the right no matter where you go. If you get out of this country today and go to China, you have right as a human being. That is why human rights, those of you who are in the senior school, you know that human rights have 5 essential principles. One of them is indivisibility, inalienability, comprehensiveness, absoluteness, and interdependency. These are the 5 essential characteristics of human rights. Is that understood? When we talk about interdependency, is all these human rights that we are talking about, all these 30 articles of human rights are interdependent. You touch one, you are going to affect the other one. Let's say you have right to life. Is that understood? And right to own property. Is that understood? Now, if somebody is killed, how can you have right to own property? A dead person own property? No. So that is why human rights are interdependent. You violate one right, you affect the other right. Is that understood? Now you talk about indivisibility. Human rights is not pancake that you can divide to give to people. Is that understood? No. You cannot reduce. You say this one have a lot of rights. Let me reduce it and give it to another person. It doesn't work like that. Okay? And inalienable is talking about these human rights cannot be taken away by those people who are not entitled to those rights. Every human being have your own right. Is that understood? So these are things that we have to observe, and these are things that we have to respect when it comes to human rights. Now, in conclusion, I want to just point out, look at few points to tell you why is human rights important for students for the betterment of their community and their country at large. That is why we are here today, to educate you people. An educated citizenry is the only person that can stand up to fight for his or her country. patriotic citizens. Some citizens in this country are not patriotic at all. They are moved by what they see. If I give you $10 here, you can even sell part of your school. You don't care about what the future tells you. Is that understood? But if you sell this school, are you thinking about the next generation? No, you are just a selfish citizen. So it is through education. Which type of education? A type of education that makes you skillful individuals who are able to become responsible citizens tomorrow. This is the type of education that we want to give you through Amnesty International Human Rights Friendly Schools. So if you are equipped today about human rights, you should be standing firm for the rights of those people who are not lucky to be in this club. So you are ambassadors of Kafuta. You are ambassadors of Foni, and you are ambassadors of Combo. You are ambassadors of Basse. You are ambassadors of everywhere in this country, even outside this country. You should serve as ambassadors of human rights. So human rights is important because in a society where a lot of people are educated about their human rights, there will be less human right violations. True or false? Yes. In a society where you have a lot of people who are educated about their rights, there will be less human rights violations. Is that understood? Another one is the reason why human rights are important is because it helps to promote equality and equity. Is that understood? It helps to promote equality and equity. Now, that is why uh, Martin Luther King Jr. said that anywhere there is injustice, anywhere there is injustice, know that it is affecting justice anywhere. So we have to make sure we build societies where we treat each other equally. Don't look at the race. Today in this country, when women stand for political positions, they will not win. Why will they not win? A lot of people will associate it to men. No, I don't believe in that. The problem is not the men, the problem is the women themselves. Today, let's say that we want to vote for a president in this class today. Common sense, who should win between men and women? But you will be surprised that it's the men that will win. Yes. Hey, Kimom, how ma mesa mi nakala mel? Olal koketa mirek. You are the ones who will be labeling them to make sure you discourage them from picking up these opportunities. So we have to learn to treat each other the same. Whether you are Muslim or Christian, see each other as friends. You go to Central African Republic, Muslims and Christians will never sit in the same class. Not possible at all. You will never see a Muslim and Christian in one class. But that is not the problem we have in this country. This country, we don't have problem when it comes to race, but few individuals are the ones who want to fuel this problem. My school, for instance, is always the center of everything. Every 2 or 3 years, we'll have problem when it comes to Christianity and Islam, for instance. One, I used to stand in their PTA meetings to address the situation. You know that St. Peter's is a Catholic missionary school. And we know that they don't allow veils. You know that our skirts are short. It's above our knees, or sometimes beyond our knees. Now, you who is an ustaz, why do you take your child there? You don't see Nusrat? You don't see Kafuta? You don't see Masfur? Now, you just came to cause problems. Because you say, okay, the school is in the Gambia, where we have percentage of people who are Muslims. No. If you want to come there, you have to comport yourself. And what they are talking about outside and what is inside is not the same. It's total lies. Because in that school, we have a mosque in that school. In a Christian school, we have mosque there. Go to Masfood and see whether there is a church. They employed a special ustaz who is just responsible to teach the kids about Islamic teachings and the pillars of Islam. Just specially for that. They have 2 other ustazes too. Go to Muslim schools and see whether they are doing Christian religion as their subject. No. So we have to learn to live together with Christians because they are our brothers and they are our sisters. A lot of Muslims have married Christians in this country, and a lot of Christians have married Muslims, and they are living happily. You want to listen to outside noise, it is going to cause problem. What Central African Republic is facing is what we will face if care is not taken. May God forbid that. That is why we are educating you people, so that you have a different mindset altogether. Is that understood? Don't think like them. Think differently. You should not, and also another, let me just conclude with that. Another article of human rights is talking about right to freedom of expression and thought. Whenever your rights are violated, don't be silent about this. Come out and speak. Is that understood? Come out and speak about things that are affecting you. Mr. Sane talked about how you are scared of how society sees you. But it's not everything we have to look at what society thinks. Sometimes society is evil. But the bigger umbrella, I think there is what is called the cycle of a child. First round of the child is the country that we belong. This is what protects the child. The Gambia, for instance, the government is a force. From the government, what do we have? We have the society. The society also protects the child. From the society, we have the family protecting the child. Then from the family is when you have the child. So look at all these walls that protect the child. But when you look at what we have in this country, you remember that every time this child is affected. Because then it means that all these walls are not strong. Then here is where Amnesty International will come to look at those vulnerable people who are not protected. Amnesty is looking at those people. Like if Ms. Manga can remember, when we went to Dakar the other time, there is this particular community where people came and took their lands from them by force. So what Amnesty did is they stood by that community to fight to make sure they got that land that belongs to them. Is that understood? And I think, Anna, they got the land. Yeah. So that's what Amnesty does, to help to protect those vulnerable individuals. And that is what we expect from you. I thank you. God bless you all.
So if there's anybody who have anything to ask or to clarify, that is going to Mr. Sane or Mr. Nyasi, you can raise it and then we discuss it before we close the program.
Yes, I want to ask this question. Like, for example, if you have a crime or any other problem, how can you get to Amnesty? How can you get to them? For them,
I don't know in what context is the problem that someone might face and might need amnesty support.
Now, I think
Because yes, because some issues varies. At some point, people have problem with the states, and the states might unlawfully take a decision against them. Sometimes you will hear others will say, now we are taking the matter to ECOWAS court. Perhaps ECOWAS court have not, taken into account how your rights have been infringed. You can see ways how to address or how to put the issue for Amnesty to also know what the individual is going through. But for in our context here, for example, issues that you, me, or someone might go through, maybe at some point Amnesty would refer you to, because they will say you have to go in. We look at our internal laws within the country. Will our internal laws address those situations? So if the internal laws address the situation, Amnesty would want to see the outcome of how the internal laws are being treated, whether they are fair or they were not unfair. So like, you don't just take matter to Amnesty and Amnesty say, okay, now we are going to take this issue against someone. No, because they look at the legal ramifications as to the situations, because that's why they have a very powerful influence. Even here, Amnesty have individuals that they work with in the Gambia here. For example, Saltal, former Gambia Bar Association's president, is someone that Amnesty works with. And so if they have issues around Gambia, especially that are related to individuals, they will contact those lawyers to look at the issues very well and be able to advise them to take any further actions. So maybe you might also.
Yeah, I want to add something. Like I know his question might be missing some things. I think what he wanted to know, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Is, for instance, within your community, you found out that there are human rights violations, especially, let's say you know of a man in your community who want to give out the daughter who is in grade 7, those type of problems. Then you have Amnesty in Kafuta. In Kafuta Upper Basic School, you have your teacher coordinators of human rights. Liaise with those people, and those people will pick up from there to report the matter to the Ministry of Education. Then from the ministry will try to link with Amnesty or send. The ministry have their own investigators. Sometimes they call the police and send the police to come to Kafuta Upper Basic School and make their own investigation. They are NIS. They send NIS to come here and do their own investigations. Is understood? So that is how it works. When there is a human rights violation, report to the teacher coordinator you have in your school, or this teacher coordinator is representing the entire Kafuta, even if it is outside Kafuta, but it's a student, for instance, whose rights are violated. You are human rights advocates. Just call your teacher coordinator. Then your teacher coordinator is going to pick it from there to inform the ministry that we have an issue about a human rights violation of a particular child. So the ministry will pick up from there to send people to come and investigate. Is that understood? I don't know if.
Every activity we are doing, we report on the Senegal. Now, Senegal are the one that report directly to Amnesty International, which is the headquarters in Netherlands. Before, during Jawara to Jammeh's era, Amnesty International have an office in the Gambia. They even used to have people that leave Gambia to go to Europe, to go to the main office. That link was there. But later, like Lamin mentioned here earlier, Amnesty International is 100% independent with the government. So there are certain things that they advocate that the government is not in line with. So they will have a caracas, with the government. So that used to happen in the Gambia here during Jammeh's era. There were issues, especially with the issue of death penalty and so on, because there was a time everybody holds that Jammeh is a killer. So these were some of the confrontation and other problems he faced with the former president, and he sent them out. We all know how Jammeh used to be. So he sent them out. That's how Amnesty did not have an independent body again in the Gambia. Now, after when Jammeh left, Barrow government came, still Gambia could not fight back for Amnesty to come back as an independent body again. Now, what we do, we have Senegal that use Gambia as a sub-branch. I hope you're getting how the channel is going now. Now, Amnesty International funding is not coming directly to the Gambia. No, it is coming through Senegal. And now Senegal now also pick 2 sub-branch in the Gambia. One is in the school and the other is in the focus group, which he was one of the, I think you are still the president, huh? The coordinator for Birkama area council, Birkama group. So we have different group up to Basse. But all these groups, they report under Senegal. So Senegal will report this as under their activity. I don't know whether you understand. So Gambia as a country, all this we are doing, we are reporting under Senegal, and Senegal will go and report this. So Gambia as a country, we don't have anything that we are reporting. Every December, coordinator, everything we go and report under Senegal. Now Senegal will take this under their own activity and report. We still do not. So that have been our recommendation. That every year that Gambia is an independent country. We have a president, we have everything. We want to stand alone. And since when? Because of whatever we do, we are even doing more than Senegal. So Senegal still is not to their favor to leave us independent. So this is some of the problems we're facing. So this is why people like Lami say, okay, for me now, no, I'm not going. Yeah, I'm tired, I'm not going anymore. But people like me, every year, we're still going, trying to push and pull. Okay, please, we want to be independent, help us to be independent. Every year, we're just reporting that. So when you have an issue, it depends on your issue fall in which part. If your issue fall under the school domain, then have to liaise with the coordinators like us. Then us, the coordinators, will liaise with MOPSI. And now MOPSI will liaise with Amnesty Senegal. Amnesty Senegal will liaise with Amnesty itself now. Do you see how the channel will go? If at all is in a community, yes, now that's where you deal with focus group. Now focus group also will liaise with Senegal. Senegal will liaise. So you see how the channel goes. Yeah.
Good afternoon, teacher, students seated, our facilitators, Fine TV, and Madam Manga, and my colleague, Mr. Jeng. I am Christine S. Mendy, the Assistant Coordinator of Kafuta Human Rights Club. I am here today to give a closing remark to this important gathering. But first, since is the celebration of Amnesty International Day, I want to first of all say Happy Amnesty International Day to each and everyone seated here today, because I believe it is because of some of the rights we have been fighting for. That is why we are here today. So that is why, first of all, want to start with that. And secondly, I want to say congratulations to you all, the participants that are here. The school is bigger than this number, but being privileged to be here today, it does not mean that you are better than those that are not here, but you are being given the privilege to be here today. So I want to say congratulations to you all. And also, I want us to remember that this gathering today should serve as a reminder to knowing that respecting and promoting human rights is everyone's responsibility. It is not just us that are standing here, but you as well that are seated here, our communities, and every other place that we go to. It is our responsibility to respect and promote human rights. So I want to take this opportunity to thank our facilitators for giving us their best, because I believe there is no other person that we could have called that will give us something more than they have done. So I just want us to give a clap to them. So on behalf of the organizers, that is Kafuta Upper and Senior Secondary School Human Rights Club, I want to take this opportunity to sincerely thank you for coming and having given us, trying to give this platform to our students to learn from you, knowing what human right is. I believe this is not going to stop today, because that is why I said when I started that is you are privileged to be here, others are not here. So it means you have a responsibility. And what is your responsibility? Your responsibility is to go out there, talk to the people about what you've learned. I think that is very, very important. Don't just stop it here, but go back there, try to implement what you've learned here is something that is important. First, we need to know, as human rights activists, one thing that we need to know is what? One, we need to stand up for what is right. That is important. Two, we need to at least always stand up, or to always be the voices of those people whose voice are unheard today, because we know that there are some people who cannot solve their issues on their own. We are living in our societies, in our communities, whereby we know very well that there are people that are going through some human rights violations. We know very well that this is what they are going through, but what are we doing to help those people? I might not go through it, you might not go through it, but somebody is going through it. What are you doing to help that person out? That is why I said help those whose voices are unheard. Help them so that their voices will be heard as well. I think this is something that is very, very important. So we are not just stopping here. Human Rights Club, since it came to Kafuta Upper and Senior Secondary School, it has been doing a lot. And we are thankful to Amnesty International, because if not them, there are so many things that are going on in our society. Our students are not privileged to hear it. But today, we are able to know some of these things through Amnesty International. So we cannot just say thankful enough to them. So thank you, Amnesty International, for always supporting us, giving us the courage to know that if other students can do it, Kafuta Upper and Senior Secondary School can also do it as well. So thank you all.